Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hashira Half Hour. As you can see, my co-hosts are incapacitated, so that's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Umai. And with that, it's actually Bryan's turn.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's me. As Emily said, there were multiple moments where I was lost in this episode. We'll get more into it. But give you a brief preface. This is the first time I've ever cried in a new episode of Demon Slayer. So we'll start strong there by saying I'm clearly a fan of this episode, but we'll keep going. I'll pass it off to Hannah.
Hi guys, it's Hannah, and this is the first time I've ever cried over a Taisho Era secret or an announcement of an episode name. If you know, you know.
Somehow I feel like that's not true, Hannah.
No, that's true. That is the first time I've ever seen the episode title of the next episode and legitimately cried because I have issues, but...
All right. Well, we've come back to the episode, right? We start back just by seeing our main girl, Mitsuri. As most of you know, I love Mitsuri a lot, so this is an episode that's really near and dear to me, but we start off with her coming back to Zahakuten and, you know, doing her moves as usual, and she's coming in hot, right? How do we feel about this kind of first start? Very upbeat.
Stunning. Just, like, absolutely stunning. I think while this was happening, while I was watching the episode, I was just like, I love her so much. I love her so much. I love her so much. Just the way she's moving her body, how quickly she's moving. It's just so beautiful. And I love how she just was so confused by him calling her a tramp. I was like, she's so pure. And I just love her. She's like female version of Tanjiro. That's the best way I can describe it. I love her.
And I was really interested by what the demon's first words to her, too. He's like, oh, you slip of a girl. And I don't know if that's, like, just an interesting translation choice for, like, what he was actually saying. But I would not call her a slip of a girl. She is, like, ripped to shreds and so powerful. Obviously, to him, maybe that is still, like, a slip of a girl. But, like, also, like, hell yeah, this slip of a girl is coming to kick your ass, buddy. So
1000%.
It's so cool. We love a powerful, badass female character that is still dressed in adorable colors and has love breathing as her style, but is gonna wreck his entire life. Yeah. So, love to see it.
Yeah, and in an effort to channel my inner Hannah, to bring up Tanjiro at any given moment unprompted, I would also like to point out that Tanjiro was fangirling over Mitsuri. Literally, every twirl, he was like, wow, that sword is amazing, but she's even better. And I completely agree here. And going into the episode, right, she really starts off strong. She even slashed through some attacks. I thought that was pretty cool, but even Hashiras can make mistakes, and we've seen this pretty quickly. As Tanjiro points out, it's not the main body. Let's go from there.
Yeah, he's just like me for real. Fangirling over her. We're all like, oh my god, she's so cool. And we do that like anytime we get to see a new Hashira breathing form. Yeah. And we got to see like several in succession in this episode too. And I love that they all had like cat-related names. I thought that was really sweet. You know she's a cat lover. But again, yeah, not impervious to like any mistakes. And we've seen other Hashira make mistakes as well. Just relying on their gut instinct to charge towards the source of the immediate havoc and chaos, but it's not always as obvious what the underlying source is, and that's something that Tanjiro is now really good at seeking out. Probably because he's run into it so many times, whereas, like, in each of these seasons with the different Hashira, it's one of their first times having an encounter like this, and it's not like the same Hashira in succession. Similar mistakes to her predecessors, but with Tanjiro getting better, I think that she stands a much better chance of getting out of this fight than maybe some of the others did.
Yeah, first of all, Tanjiro fangirling over Mitsuri was so real of him. He's like, oh, that sword is obviously done by like an expert swordsmaker, but she's even cooler because she can wield it. He's just like stars in his eyes, like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. I thought that was so cute. It was really cool to see back-to-back love-breathing forms. That's been something that we've been very like, what's it gonna look like? And honestly, just the way it just explodes and it's sparkling is so pretty. It works so well with her character too, because she's so strong and so good, but also she's got that fun, bubbly, loving side to her. So it just like it all works very well together. I like what you mentioned about like none of these Hashiras have experienced a fight with an upper moon. Not one of them, because we've had 2 fights against upper moons with Hashira, and both of them are no longer fighting. Sorry, I'm trying to say that in the nicest way possible. But so every time a Hashira meets them for the first time, it's brand new. But Tanjiro continues to survive. Now, he's not strong enough to take them on his own like the Hashira is. He still has a ways to go, but he at least has kind of, that experience to be able to help verbally at least and like shout out, hey, like that's not the main body. We need to do this. We need to do that. He tried to help Muichiro earlier this season when he beheaded Hantengu the first time and was like, okay, like I've seen this before. They're probably going to regenerate in some way. So I like that he's still able to use his battle smarts, even though he's still not quite strong enough to take on an upper moon on his own yet. So really cool to see. And just Mitsuri getting her moment to just take down everything enough to like confuse Ohakuten and be like, how is she able to do that?
Yeah, I think overall Mitsuri really gets her moments to shine here, and even more so to come. And kind of skipping ahead, there were certain points where you saw like this glitter dust trailing behind her, and I thought that was just such a nice touch, because when we look back at the episode where we first saw Love breathing, the form itself gave us little crackles almost as the demon exploded, which I thought was a really nice touch to kind of add to the overall lore of what Love breathing is. So that was a really interesting piece. But going from there, we had, she slashed at the attacks, and now they're all together. But we start to dive in, of course, with any anime, right? As the characters got their life flashing before their eyes, we get their backstory. And then we start to dive in. And we open with Mitsuri being prompted from a man to possibly do a marriage interview.
My first time flipping off an anime character. Y'all saw it. Just saying. But for real though, so kind of backtracking a little bit, like she took on him doing the sound wave attack head on, and it was the strongest it's ever been. We've already seen Tanjiro take on a few of those. His eardrums burst from one. Like it's strong enough to take you out, and she was able to, condense her muscles or whatever so that she could absorb the whole thing and not be destroyed, because that kind of sound wave would usually destroy a human being. And I love the theme. We see it a lot of when you're about to die, your life flashes before your eyes. And that's something that Demon Slayer does so well, does very often. It's very much a theme within the show, because a lot of these characters are having some life or death experience. Let's throw that out there. And you get in touch with this side of you that you maybe have pushed down, you haven't remembered lately. And Mitsuri's is very different, We're kind of used to the whole demons destroyed my family, but it doesn't seem like that's going on with her. Instead, she has a very real and very human and very relatable thing. What she's talking about can really relate to a lot of the audience today, I think, of just feeling like you're too much of this or too much of that, and someone is rejecting you because of it. I think we all go through that, whether that's with romance in the past or friendships that we've tried to have or whatever, just being rejected because of who we are. And it's so goddamn relatable. So it's really interesting to see. But honestly, I don't usually say this on the podcast, but fuck that guy.
Yeah. Listen. Okay. Take a good, hard, long look in the mirror, buddy. Because you're going to look like that and be talking to her like that.
Right?
What a clown, for real.
Yeah.
No, absolutely insane. Anybody should be so lucky. Literally. This is, on so many levels, an audience favorite. Men and women alike. Everybody loves Mitsuri for hopefully the right reasons. Because she is, a badass queen that can definitely hold her own in these fights. But just like in the real world, not everyone sees her that way, and especially as a product of this time, it's marriage is an economic proposal, and also it's about image. So if you are somebody who stands out in a particular way, that might not be desirable in this particular circumstance. But I still say their loss. because she's incredible.
Mhm.
And I love that we get to see her kind of come to see her own worth a little bit, or begin to question whether she's okay with giving up on her own true worth as well. And I think that we hear her leaning towards an answer by the end of this. Like, as much as she wants marriage, she doesn't want it at the cost of losing herself. Yes, queen.
We stand Mitsuri in this house.
We really do, and the stand comes out too much some days, but here we are. And yeah, I think that's kind of why I fall for Mitsuri a lot, is because I kind of relate to the, like, finding yourself and, like, the story of trying to really accept who you are. Obviously, kind of a parallel. It's Pride Month, by the way, so being gay and accepting who you are and having that rejection in the world really resonates with me, as, you know, she kind of goes a little bit further and dyes her hair, right? She really tries to hide who she is, and in the next couple scenes we see her do a real 180 as to the, you know, fun-loving person we know at the moment. And so we see that kind of turn on herself, which is really sad, but also, again, a very true experience for a lot of people, because I myself also did the same thing, where I hid really what I was feeling and who I thought I was for the, like, sake of doing what I thought I was supposed to do. So what do you guys think about that?
I definitely think there's a parallel, and I'm so glad that, like, Bryan was able to see something in it that clearly resonated, like, very emotionally with him. And even on, like, another level, like, I think, like Hannah said, other people have felt the sting of rejection in so many different ways, and have felt, I think, at some point in their lives, like they've had to hide some part of who they are. So I'm sure that the message in today's episode resonated in some way with everyone that watched it. And it's really special that she gets to be the character that embodies this so fully, and then also embraces it and becomes what we know is, like, probably the most kind and certainly the most cheerful Hashira of all of them, even after experiencing so much self-doubt in the past. So I think she's, like, a really positive role model and a really nice example of confidence and self-awareness and positivity.
Well, it really goes back to the Hashira meeting in season 1. Like, she has always been the one who's been on, like, Tanjiro and Nezuko's side. She was never... Every single Hashira there was like, oh, let's kill them, you know? And, like, quite literally. They're like... Even Rengoku was like, let's not wait on the master. Let's put them out of their misery, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, what? Like, why? Like, let's give them a chance, you know? And I think that comes from her background of, you know, being in a situation where she, like, tried to hide herself and didn't feel accepted for who she was. I bet she kind of understood that maybe, like, Nezuko was just not being accepted for who she was, right?
Yeah.
Like, Tanjiro had these receipts of her, like, not being a demon that eats people, right? And all the other Hashira are like, what? You know, and she's just like, but like, he has receipts. Like, you know, like, maybe we should be nicer to them. And it kind of shows the contrast, though, of her from a lot of the other Hashira. Now that we've seen a lot of the backstories and stuff, we see that she's really just trying to find her home. She's trying to just be accepted. And like you said, I think all of us can resonate with that in some way. You know, just seeing her go through this situation where she's hiding her hair, she's not eating, and then she meets this man and he wants to marry her, but she's not herself. And she's asking herself, is that okay? Is that okay? Can I go through with this even though, like, I'm hiding my true self? And I think we've all asked ourselves that question. Like, I've tried to make friends with people where I just kind of have to hide, like, my nerd side of me. I just have to hide who I am because I'm very passionate about the things that I love. And that's partially because they don't watch the things I love. So obviously I'm not going to talk about it all the time with them because they just can't contribute to those conversations. But at the same time, I try and, you know, not wear my anime t-shirts when I'm around them, or, you know, wear all the cutest, latest trendy clothes, because what we do is we do brunch, and that's just not my thing. So I'm, like, hiding myself just to try and fit in, right? And I'm pretty sure most of us have done something like that, right? And then I find people like this, where I can wear my anime t-shirts and be an absolute crazy person about Demon Slayer, and they just smile and laugh along, you know? And it's this is my home, not the Demon Slayer court. Kind of thankful that I didn't find my home in a very unsafe environment. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking because I've been going for a while.
Yeah, and so as we kind of wrap up the backstory, right, we come back to reality. But before we leave it, Mitsuri asked the question, will I be loved for who I am? And I don't want to steal Emily's thunder here, but she did point out it was Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya that showed up and were right there for her and said, yes, we love you. And so, of course, we still have Zohakuten on docket. He is still actively pursuing them, and he unleashes something big. Like, he said, no, I am done with you. And he blasted the world. And Mitsuri still persevered to find that with that love, she was able to move forward. And so a message there, also just for the listeners in general, if you don't think you fit in, if you don't think you have the confidence, you do. Because there are people out there who do love you. And from the Hashira Half Hour, I love you too. Coming back to it, what did you guys think of Mitsuri just slashing through the attack? Like, she just straight up stopped it.
Didn't he, like, throw, like, all of the powers of all the emotions at once, and she's just like, shh, and all three of the squad, Genya, Nezuko, and Tanjiro, are all like, so cool! Like, absolutely dumbfounded. But I did want to say I really love the transition of her, you know, the end of her backstory, where she's, you know, she's talked about wanting to find a man to marry, and it seems like, you know, her motives are very much trying to find a man, like she talked about in episode 1. But I liked how it transitioned from that into Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko saving her, and then her going off on him, on the demon, and being like, this is my home, these are my friends, I won't let them die, get ready because I'm going in for the kill. Because I think she's been able to find that love in other ways, and I think, again, that kind of can resonate with everyone, because sometimes what you think you're looking for is not what you're actually looking for, right? And it's only once you become okay with who you are and you stop hiding yourself that you usually find that true connection with someone, whether that's, you know, your romantic connection or just friend connections, that sort of thing. So I love the way they transition that, because it shows, like, these kids are her family, you know, and she loves them because it's just her family at this point, right? But what a badass to just take on that attack. Like I said earlier, like, Tanjiro was struggling in the last episode. He could not handle it by himself at all, right? And Mitsuri is just like, wham, bam, done. I'm going for the kill. I'm serious now. Let's go. And I just love her for it. It just shows how strong she is and how amazing she is, when what we've seen from Tanjiro has been pretty impressive throughout the season. Just saying. So, amazing.
He keeps getting stronger, but these Hashira are already really strong. So the fact that, and she did get hit by, like, one of the mega supersonic beams. So she's, like, knocked out for the entirety of that backstory. And, you know, where we cut is actually the demon going for the kill. You know, obviously light flashes before the eyes, and we see this backstory. And I think that's what makes the cut back to the present so special. Is, like, this is the light flashing before your eyes. This is a brief moment in, like, a faltering sense of self-confidence. And I, you know, just to, like, echo what Hannah and Bryan were saying, and a phrase that I feel like is, like, very common that I disagree with is that you need to love yourself before anybody else will love you. I don't think that that's always true. Yeah. It can help, and I absolutely believe that, like, everyone hopefully can find something about themselves that they feel good about, because you deserve that. But in the moments where you don't feel that way, it's okay to lean on people that do, and to lean on your friends. And even without realizing it, that's what happens in this moment. And even though it's maybe not the love exactly that she has in mind, it's the love that is there in that moment. And it is so precious seeing all three of them carting her away. And, like, and I don't even know if they realize that she's come back to consciousness yet. They're all, like, game planning with each other,
carrying her, and she's like,
she's like, where am I?
It's so sweet. And
they're like, no, and they're like, none of us are dying today, which has not been the case in a lot of the other Upper Moon fights. And again, that's, like, tied back to Tanjiro's previous trauma, but he like has an idea of what to do now, and even though she made an initial mistake in judgment in attacking this upper moon, he has an idea of what to do, but they all know that she is, I believe this is the quote, the shining ray of hope. Yeah, and they're like, she's our best shot. We're not letting anybody die today. And all three of them carrying her away is just chef's kiss. One of my favorite moments in the episode. It's so good. And it comes right after she asks, like, will anybody love me? Will anybody love me? Here they are.
They're just returning the favor too, because like she just saved Tanjiro in the last episode from like moments away from death, and then we could see Tanjiro running after her right before we got our flashback, but like it was a team effort, just like everything always is in this show. It's never one person taking on one demon. I mean, maybe it was at the beginning, but even then it was really Tanjiro and Nezuko. So it's always been about a team effort, and you can make a mistake, but you've made these friends that are going to help you out no matter what.
So following from there, Mitsuri's screaming about how she's finally found some sort of friendship and found some sort of love. Tanjiro's in awe. Nezuko's blushing real hard. And Genya's just like, bruh, are you kidding me right now? That was my favorite part, Genya. But they finally get that plan together, right? They realize Mitsuri's where it's at, so Mitsuri's taking on Zohakuten while they start to depart to try and go after the main body. And so they start going for it, and Mitsuri is vowing to protect them at all costs, and it's pretty cool to see, right? She's got that motherly like instinct now, maybe that like big sister energy, if you will. And Tanjiro is certainly something to talk about in this following scene, so I'll let Hannah maybe do some talking here.
I mean, it's Tanjiro. Like, he's being the leader at this point, like they're deciding to separate, and he's the one who's coming up with these plans, like even more than Mitsuri, so like he's like, all right, like we're gonna go after it. And I have to shout out Mitsuri though, because like Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko start running away to go after the main body, and Zohakuten notices this, so he sends one of his dragons towards them, but Mitsuri stops it. And she's like, I told you I'm going to protect them. Like, do you think I'm joking? Because I'm going to. And she's just like so fast to keep up with it. But yeah, I mean, Tanjiro is just, he's figuring things out. He's the leader of this group. He's telling them, all right, we're going to, she's going to protect us. We're going to go after the main body. Like, let's do this. And I mean, the big moment comes a little later in the episode, so I'm trying to save my thoughts on that. But he's just my boy. Like, he's just doing such a good job. Like, and he's like super injured at this point. He's got a freaking broken foot. I think his hearing is coming back to him a little bit, but I will say, I mentioned this with The Scent. My husband and I are watching season 1 again in preparation for him to see season 3 once it's done next week. And every time we see, the visualization of his sense of smell in season 1, it's just like this red kind of like squiggly, spirally line. And the visuals of that have evolved and changed as he's grown stronger with his ability. And now like there's colors involved, and there's just like way more to it to kind of show just how much he's strengthened this ability that was already better than most human beings. And I thought that's just like a really cool visual to see it just change.
It is. It's cool to see how it's evolving and becoming more complex and like layered. His not only keen sense of smell, but I feel like it's combined with his now intuition and experience. So it's really cool to see. And that even though the Hashira is like back in action and she's ready to help them, she's sending them on their way to go in for the actual kill. She's like, I'll hold him off, you keep fighting. And and then they have to go charging after this pathetic little freaking guy again in the forest. I'm getting real sick of him.
He's just like jumping around, crying.
And then he like starts saying stuff that I think is supposed to be kind of sad, but it comes off as ridiculous because I'm imagining that like he's having like this tragic backstory monologue as like the villain, and all they're hearing is like
oh my god.
Little Animal Crossing voice.
Oh no.
That's too good. And so, once we kind of have that, there are two things I want to touch on, right? Huntengu is trying to give us a little bit of sad backstory. He's like, I've never said a lie once in my life. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. But also, the other thing is, we saw this with Tanjiro in season 2 at the very end of the entertainment district where he was able to summon this strength from within. We see the same thing with Muichiro. Now it's a thing with Mitsuri, where she has a little crest on her neck that's a heart. Let's talk about it. It's just like Oprah, you get a mark, you get a mark, you get a mark.
Seeing her mark manifest was so cool, and it's been so interesting to see how it manifests for everybody. I love that these are heart-shaped because while I think that the other two marks that we've seen manifest do kind of, symbolize or like mirror the abilities of the people that they're on, they were a little bit more ambiguous than the shape of this particular mark. And so now it's like confirmed. Like Tanjiro's is a flame and Muichiro's is related to mist and to water. And now we have the love-breathing Hashira with her beautiful heart-shaped mark. And I also like that it was not on her face.
Yeah.
Because who wants to mess up this pretty face? Very cute that it appeared like right on her collarbone, and also confirmed that all of them seem to be red so far.
Yeah. Well, that's the mystery for us manga readers, is like, what color is it going to be? And I think I called that out. I was like, oh, it's red. It's kind of like Oprah. It's like, does everyone get a mark? Do you get a mark? Do you get a mark? Like, for you anime onlys, like, we won't dive into what's to come in the future, but like, we had Tanjiro. We still don't even fully know what it meant, Like, all we know is that he was able to kind of get in touch with, like, pushing himself beyond what any human could truly do to behead Gyutaro. And now it's showing up more as he unleashes attacks. But then we see Muichiro manifest it somehow, and they made it look the same way when Tanjiro manifests his. Mitsuri's was just there. They didn't go through the little, like, it appearing on her collarbone. But I really liked that she, right before it's revealed, she's saying, like, I gotta get my heart rate up. I gotta get, like, some speed, because I think that's important to note as far as when the mark appeared after what she was saying. And then also Zohakuten being like, she's faster than before, like, what's going on? Like, she should be freaking injured because she took on that sound wave attack head on and, like, passed out from it for a brief moment. But all of a sudden she's getting faster and stronger. And then it's revealed that she's got the little mark. And again, I also love that it's hearts, because it's just like, it's just so, yes, just yes. Not only is that perfect because she's a love Hashira and her breathing is love breathing, but also it just matches who she is as a character, as a person. And it's just really, really exciting, really powerful. And get ready, because there's going to be some more stuff about this whole mark thing. Maybe not this season, though. So.
Well, mark it on your calendars, folks. But as we continue, we do get some answers about other things. We'll talk about those in a second. I kind of skipped ahead. But we do see the trio chasing after the tree. And so we eventually see them catch up to it. And something real cool happens. We get another flash of Hinokami Kagura mixed with Nezuko's flames. Such a beautiful moment, right?
Yes, I mean, I already love the symbolism of Nezuko's pink flames with Tanjiro's orange flames. And just, like we talked about in episode 6, like, you start to kind of wonder, like, okay, which one is Tanjiro's power and which one's Nezuko's power? Like, there's a blurred line at this point. And I have to say, the moment where she literally, like, her arm, I think she, like, purposefully didn't regenerate it because she wanted the blood, because she knows, like, her battle smarts, just her smarts in general, have really taken a leap. Again, because I'm watching season 1 again, and just to see how much she's changed, because she's, like, actively, like, thinking during this battle. It's not just like a Tanjiro in danger, must protect him, humans are good, must protect them. Like, she's clearly got her own agency in this fight. Like, she's thinking for herself, and of course she still wants to protect Tanjiro because of it's more because of just how much she loves him and how much she wants to protect him, rather than just be like, ooh, brother, must protect. You know, it's more just who she is. So she's like purposefully not regenerated her arm, and she takes her blood and throws it on the thing so that she can do her blood demon art. And Tanjiro's like, all right, now it's my turn. Hinokami Kagura. And already just beautiful to see that blurred line, but also just the way it's animated. Every time we see these two work together, that's when Ufotable is just like throwing all their money at it, because it's like, it's a spectacle every time. It's just so gorgeously done. It makes me emotional because it's them working together, and then it also makes me super like hyped up because it's just so beautifully like art in front of me.
It is always so gorgeous to get to see their flames, and also just to get to see them working together now without even like the verbal communication. Mm-hmm. And I actually want to take it back for just a second, because all three of them are working really well together now. Yeah. Given that, you know, Genya's been a little bit rough around the edges, he is pitching in here, and we have a bit of a reveal for Genya as well, something that has not been verbally spoken quite yet. But as, you know, they're chasing this kind of like stray piece of the like tree bark that's that's carrying the main body of Hatengu away. He just pulls out those chompers and just dives right in. It's like, oh yeah, that seems in character. He's like, my hands, because they're like flying. Tanjiro's, hang on for dear life, because don't let it throw you off. He's like, I can't swing my sword. Umai. Which in and of itself seems like a very Genya reaction anyway. He's like, I will use my teeth.
And Tanjiro's so confused. He's like, Genya, are you okay? Is that gonna hurt your stomach? Like, what are you doing, dude?
But he's like ripping this wood apart of the tree, but we also know that this isn't really like a true wood object. This is like, it consists of and is made of demon, because it's something that the demon has generated. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, isn't that gonna harm you? And then we get this big reveal that Genya is able to like temporarily harness the power of a demon if he's able to consume part of them. Yeah. So in this moment, the tree will work. And he's really just doing his beaver thing and is just chomping through it, just to like not only generate some power within himself, but also to just separate the head of this tree, that then Tanjiro and Nezuko are able to team up after Genya's assistance and dive into that amazing Hinokami Kagura moment that we just discussed, which is so cool. And something else that I noticed in this moment, as, you know, Tanjiro's the one going for the slash, and Genya and Nezuko are telling him to, like, go for it. Mm-hmm. Nezuko's pulling, like, one part of this, like, tree shell away. And then Genya goes to pull the other side. And even though he's harnessed the power of the demon to, like, help with, like, regenerative abilities, he's not affected by Nezuko's flames, which usually would affect a demon. So what does that mean? To me, in this moment, it means that he's more human than demon. But it's very cool that he's able to harness those powers.
Well, I think it's a big reveal. I think, you know, we've been wondering what's going on since episode 5, when there was that big reveal where he looked like a demon, but it kept on just getting brushed off. Partially because, like, we've got other things going on, partially because it's always been, like, in the mindset of Tanjiro, who is very ADHD. He's got, like, a million things going on at once, so he just kind of brushes it off. But also because Tanjiro is kind of like, he doesn't really care. If you're a demon and you're clearly fighting for good, I'm not going to care because my sister, right? So he's just kind of like, all right, let's do this. So we're finally getting these answers, and it's revealed that Genya can eat demons and temporarily gain their power, which is why he can regenerate and why he's not dead, because he's taken on quite a few hits that would kill a regular human being. But like you said, it's also clear that he's human. That's truly what he is. He just has this kind of crazy ability, for sure.
He said, Uno reverse. You can't eat me if I eat you first.
Oh my god, that is too good. Not the Uno reverse.
Or was it Umai reverse?
Hey!
Mine are so bad.
Oh my god. Alright, well, within the last couple minutes of the episode, one more thing that Genya shocks us with is, of course, what else would Genya do besides trying to throw a tree at the demon? And of course, Nezuko tries to get a strike in. Where do you think we go from here, and what are your reactions?
Reasonable reaction, I think.
Hannah's looking at the camera so intently.
It just reminds me of, like, a couple of things. First thing is just, like, boys with rage issues, which, like, we love Genya, but, like, this is the equivalent of him, like, punching a hole in the drywall, I think.
Oh,
He's
no!
like, he is a feral boy. He's like, I'm just gonna destroy my surroundings real quick. So there's that. My other instinct and my impression is a more obscure one, so this is probably not for everybody. But, and I maybe I'm going to say this and get roasted because I do not remember exactly what year or which movie this is, but there is an old Godzilla versus King Kong movie. That's like these old ass puppets. And it's like one of the old ones where they're like shooting like the tiny little things on the table. But one of them rips out the tree and is like trying to shove the tree like down the other's throat. And it is like so iconic, but I'm like, that's Genya. That's Genya. So maybe we'll see if I can like maybe edit that into this video or something.
Oh my god, no.
But it's insane. Insane. So that's our boy. That's our feral little man.
I feel like that's a good plug. Hey, if you're listening to us on Spotify, don't forget we have a YouTube. You can watch us be freaks.
Oh god, our faces. If you're not watching us, you are missing half the
Please
story.
go to our YouTube and just watch the video of us talk, because you're missing out if you're just listening to the podcast version. We sneak some stuff in for sure. Okay. I'm gonna talk about Genya, and then I had to backtrack because we skipped over the moment that I wanted to talk about with Tanjiro.
Okay.
But
oh, that's right.
Because this is the end of the episode. So Genya is so funny to me. I love him so much. And like, they're just trying their best. And he's like, all right, screw this. This guy's getting away. Get out of my way, Tanjiro and Nezuko. I'm throwing a tree. Like what? Who comes up with this stuff? But also, okay, so he gained some demon ability, so he's like really, really strong, and he's just trying to do what he can do. And he literally is taking a full tree, ripping it out like from its trunk and throwing it. And Tanjiro and Nezuko are relatably like, what? But they're still going, and Nezuko, you know. I will say, for you anime onlys, it flashing Nezuko at the very end and freezing on her face, that is intentional. And you will know once you see next week's episode. Just saying. I'm not going to say anything else. But I want to talk about Tanjiro's little moment. Calling him a bastard. So, two things here. First of all, that is... When was the last time we heard bastard come out of his mouth? I think what he actually says is Kisama, which is, as far as I know...
Summit.
As far as I know, I think that's like the absolute worst slur that you can call a person in Japanese, is Kisama. I think that's what they say. So, like, that's how you know Tanjiro's, like, not putting up with this. So there's that. And, you know, he's like, I'm not going to let you get away. Like,
The last time was probably Akaza, wasn't it?
yeah, the last time he said something like that was Akaza. And we know how emotional he was in that moment, and how just, like, angry and sad, and also kind of trying to not come to terms with the fact that like Rengoku was about to die as well. But we see like Akaza was running away and he was angry about that, and Hantango is doing the exact same thing, and he's just like, all these demons are just running away like cowards. What a bastard. And it makes me emotional because it's like, he's thinking back to that moment, and he has a lot of trauma from that moment, of course, but he's angry. He's choosing to get in touch with his like super intense side, and that like seeing red side that we see, which is one of the reasons why I love him so much, is he's such a good boy, but he's mad, he's angry to do this. The other side of it is Hanai-san, come on, like, dude, just, he's putting his whole chest into it, and he does a lot with Tanjiro. I mean, I think I've talked in length about like his monologue in Mugen Train, and just I tweeted about that and it went viral just because of his just like amazing performance. He did that live because they always live dub these seasons after they come out, and Hanai-san is just so good at what he does, and all the voice actors are. I think, I call him out a lot because it's Tanjiro's voice actor, and we've seen him live, and I'm gonna see him live again in a few weeks. I'm so excited.
And his dreams come true again.
Oh gosh, what are the chances that I get to see a Japanese voice actor that I'm a huge fan of twice within the span of 6 months? Like, I'm feeling pretty blessed right now. But anyway, I won't go on too long about it. We all know that I'm like probably his biggest American fan there is. What an amazing performance. To have like the side of like, I love Tanjiro and I just love to see him go absolutely wild like that, but also then you've got the like, okay, Hanai-san, we hear you. Okay, you're flexing your voice muscles. Okay, all right.
That's enough sauce.
That's enough slices.
Oh, oops. Wrong word.
Okay. Oh, we've got
still
a nice
enough sauce.
We got a nice pie here. Okay. All right. That's enough slices. Okay. Please talk.
There is one other moment that we didn't touch on quite yet that I want to go to before we go to the other sections of the cast. But we also get to see a little bit of a love interest of Mitsuri. We get to see a very interesting dynamic between someone who I thought, in my first impression of at the Hashira meeting, who was very cold and very distant from everybody else. So seeing them at the soba shop together was quite an interesting feat, wasn't it?
They got me twirling my hair, kicking my feet. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. We get to see Mitsuri and Obanai at the soba shop. And this is like another little flashback after she comes to the first time. And most of her outfit is shredded, but you'll notice that she was able to defend one part of what she's wearing. And it's that her like socks and her shoes are like unscathed. And then she has this moment where she flashes back to when she got the socks, the famous green socks that she wears from Obanai. And I think it's really sweet that like all her outfit is shredded except for these socks. And she's remembering him saying, hey, I got these for you. And he's like not making eye contact with her. He's such a little shit. He's so like, he has been very cold. So you can tell that he's not good at this. And he's like not even looking at her. He's like, hey, if you want these, that's cool. If not, that's fine. We'll just never speak ever again. And she's so excited to take them. And she's like, oh, I'm going to cherish them. He goes, oh, no need to cherish them. Because if something happens, I'll just buy you a new pair. But then she didn't let them get hurt in the fight. Oh my god. The dynamic that they have is so freaking precious, and I can't wait for more. Like, anytime there's like the pink like little angel, like golden retriever character, and then there's like the black cat, like kind of mean and standoffish, but is only nice to the golden retriever. I love it. I am a sucker. I'm writing a check, I think. I don't know what I'm doing. More, please.
More slices.
More slices.
Give
more
us
sauce.
more slices. Oh my gosh, I'm not okay right now. So I was actually going to talk about this for my favorite moment because I love those two very much. I have plenty of other to say about my favorite moment, so I'm going to say something else for favorite so I can talk about this now because okay. I feel like I've gone on very many rambles in this episode, but I feel like this is a rambling episode for all of us. So
Rambling.
We're doing a rambling.
He's a fidget spinner.
Oh my gosh,
no.
we're all over the place.
It's the wrong show.
Yeah, okay. All right. I don't even know where to start because I love this dynamic between them. It's so funny to me because Obanai freaking hates Tanjiro. Like, there's two Hashira that hate Tanjiro, and it is Obanai and Sanemi. And it's because, like, they can't handle his, like, sunshine personality because they're so opposite. But we talk about, like, Mitsuri is, like, Tanjiro, different font. Like, female Tanjiro. Like, two sunshines. Like, they're just sunshine. And I think that's why Nezuko also loves Mitsuri so much, is because she's very much like her older brother. So she's like, oh, big sis. But Obanai's got that, like, shy, I don't know what to do because you're so pretty and, like, you're so cute. Like, I'm just not going to make eye contact. But a fun little thing, you'll notice the snake is looking right at her.
That's true.
We won't talk too much about that because that's something that
I don't know if I like the symbolism of that. Moving on.
Oh, make it snake.
Make it snake. I just love, this is our first, like, kind of little romance moment in the entire show so far. The show doesn't really need, like, romance. Like, this is a very, like, non-romance show because, like, these characters are just, like, fighting for their lives every episode, you know? Like, as annoying as they are, like, Tanjiro is just, like, always on the brink of death because, like, they're all just fighting these, like, super strong foes. Demons are stronger than humans, even Hashira, because they have this, like, unfair advantage. But, like, oh my gosh, I will revel in this moment for a while because this is, like, our first little, like, maybe of romance because he's acting very, like, okay, like, kind of like what we've seen of Obanai, but also, like, very shy. And, like, I got you these socks, like, take them, please. And I just loved, I feel like you would expect when he's like, if you rip those, you would expect him to be like, I'll be very upset because it's Obanai. And all we've seen from him is just, like, bullying Tanjiro. Like, he was the one that was, like, putting his arm into him while Sanemi was taunting Nezuko. Again, because Sanemi and Obanai are kind of in cahoots, I think, as far as, like, being kind of anti-Tanjiro and Nezuko. But, you know, he's just like, I'll buy you a new one. That surprised me. I was like, oh, he's going to say, like, I'll be kind of upset. No. It's like, don't worry about it. I'll just buy you new ones. But Mitsuri does very much take care to make sure that those socks don't get shredded. You can tell that, like, she cares very much about, like, that gift. And maybe, you know, like, that also happened right after she was like, is there going to be a man that, like, will love me for me? To be continued. Please make me stop talking. Oh my gosh! Okay. I'm not okay. It's fine. I'm just not okay right now.
I don't think any of us were okay, really. But going in, do you guys have any last call-outs before we go to favorite moments? And this week, we're going to be calling out some of the people who have commented on our stuff because we've been getting a lot of comments lately, so we want to talk to you as well. So
yes,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm ready for favorite moments.
I'm just going to say the name of the next episode is Connected Bond, Daylight and First Break of Dawn. I think that, okay. I freaked out. So, just be ready. You manga readers, you know what's about to happen next week. Like, I'm sad because it's the season finale, but I need it to come. But also, I need it to not come because I don't think I'm emotionally ready for what's going to happen in the next episode. Anime onlys, just be ready. Maybe have some tissues nearby.
As Scar said, be prepared. And I think Hannah encapsulated that well. But going into favorite moments, I don't know if I can really pinpoint one. The entire every frame of Mitsuri on screen was a favorite moment, I guess. Seeing, like kind of Emily pointed out, right, I really resonated with Mitsuri's overall arching themes of like self-acceptance and finding acceptance in others and finding the people that really make you feel like you belong. Really resonated with me. I've had multiple points in my life where I've kind of had to restart, if you will, in finding people who accepted me. So I definitely think that overall, Mitsuri really sticks with me for those reasons. So definitely something I'd like to call out to as my favorite moment is really just Mitsuri's overall backstory and overarching themes.
Agreed. It is hard. I kept saying, like, this is one of my favorite episodes of this season so far. It was just paced really well. It had a good balance of a lot of different things. And we've touched on a lot of favorite moments. Like, I love the Mitsuri and Obanai scene. I love the comedy of, like, Genya and, like, throwing the tree and, like, his reveal. Mitsuri fighting. Like, there's so many to pick from. I am going to pick something that we didn't touch on yet. And so in the flashback, we really have focused so far on like her marriage proposal arrangement gone wrong, but we didn't talk about her parents. And she had a really nice relationship with her parents where she's like, is anybody going to want to marry me? They're like, well, if they don't, you can stay. Fuck them. Like, you can just stay here forever. And like, just like the supportive nature of her two parents and like that she has that sense of love in her life as well. And the small detail of like her little freckles under her eyes being her dad's is just so cute. And, you know, they were supportive of her being strong and different from the beginning. They had her fighting sumo wrestlers in the soba shop, and she kicked their ass too. It was like, and it was not close. So I love that. I loved that dynamic because so many of the other parent relationships have been so tragic. It's really refreshing to see one that's not.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Very good things. My favorite moment, I loved the whole episode. I think we all can agree. Like, I can definitely tell we're coming to the end of the season because they always just start to kind of take things up a notch. And this was very, very good. And I think they extended a lot of stuff. I think the moment with Mitsuri with the arm wrestling thing was actually added from the manga. Because I just read that and I don't remember that happening at all. But I also keep forgetting things. Anyway, I really loved when the team saved Mitsuri when she was unconscious briefly. I really want to shout out that moment, but I have to say it's Tanjiro just being upset and yelling at the demon and being like, get back here, I'm going to take you down, you bastard. Because of everything that I said before. I just love how intense he was, and I love that side of him. I love that, like, ruthless side of him for sure. You have to be pretty annoying for that to come out, too, when it's not like a direct, you are, you know, putting Nezuko in danger, when it's just like a general thing. But also because of Hanai-san's voice acting, just like an incredible moment that, like, that moment had like the most shivers going through my body. I was just like Bryan was next to me and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was my favorite moment.
All right. Well, we'll be transitioning into something new. We've gotten a lot more comments and a lot more questions on our videos lately, so we would like to take a moment to answer those. One of today's questions is from Muichiro Semp, who hails from Brooklyn, and they're asking us who our favorite Hashira is. I'll start. I think it's pretty clear. Personally, I was thinking about this question and I'm like, who is it? Because there's two of them. So I usually kind of toggle between Gyome, having read his backstory in the manga, and Mitsuri. But of course, after today's episode, I think she has secured my number one spot. So I will say that my answer is Kanroji Mitsuri.
Amazing. I love Mitsuri, and she has climbed the ranks so much for me. But I think it has been and always will be Giyu Tomioka. And also, it's kind of something that people will understand more in an upcoming arc, because we will get his backstory soon and his interactions with other characters for the rest of the manga is why I love him so much. But hopefully you anime onlys will understand soon. It is Giyu Tomioka. I love him so much.
There's not really a wrong answer for this, I don't
Yeah.
think, especially
Never.
the deeper that we get into it. But can anybody guess who my favorite might be? I love Rengoku. He is one of my favorites, and I know that he does not get a lot of screen time, unfortunately, but the time that he does have on screen made like just such an impact on me and on the rest of the show as well. Like we've talked about, it really sets the precedent for almost everything moving forward, even though it ends up, in a loss. But he's just so pure and so strong and like the embodiment of everything that a Hashira should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
An unspoken leader among them, if you will. So I just love him. He's just the sweetest thing. But I love all of them. So
yeah.
Everyone does have a place in my heart. Even Sonomi. I used to not be a super big Sonomi fan. Haley, don't come for me. All right, listen, we've talked about this, but even Sonomi has grown on me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The next person we'd like to shout out, not necessarily a question, but Tyler. I have seen that you have been commenting on all of our stuff. So thank you so much for doing that. I see that your name's also written in Japanese. So Hannah might have a little connection with you there, but thank you so much for listening in. You literally went from season 1 all the way into Entertainment District, so props to you, my man. Thanks for being with us. And yeah, I'll pass it off to Emily for today's Taisho Era Secret.
So today's Taisho Era Secret is not too much of a secret, but next week's episode is obviously going to be the last of the season by all accounts, as far as we can tell. And it's going to be a good one. We know that it's slated to be about 70 minutes, so that should be about 60 minutes of actual content that's new. We're excited. We're also a little bit sad, of course, to be letting the season go. But we have some fun things planned for the future, still Demon Slayer related. And we're looking forward to sharing those with you beyond the conclusion of the Swordsmith Village arc. But in addition to the Demon Slayer content that we have been making, we're curious to hear from you what else you might like to see in the interim. We're going to have a little bit of time until the next season that Demon Slayer will come out. And while we want to keep bringing you that Demon Slayer content, we're interested in expanding. So, there are options. We obviously have a big finale coming this year with Attack on Titan. We've got a new season of Jujutsu Kaisen starting here in a couple weeks that's going to extend through the end of the year as well, which is very exciting. Looking forward a lot to that new arc as well. It's going to be crazy. So let us know. What are you interested in? Is there anything you'd like to hear us speak about, joke about, post
crazy about?
Let us know. Let us know what you might be interested in seeing us expand into. We're very interested in hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, if any episode you haven't commented, for those who don't know Spotify, we did add the Q&A option, so we'll make sure the question for this episode does just ask you what you're interested in hearing from us. So please, please, please interact with this one, like the most important of them all so far, so that we know, like, we have ideas of what we want to do, but we really want to do what you guys want to hear from us, since we're going to be done recapping Demon Slayer, which is all we've done so far. So it's the end of an era, but we're not going anywhere.
Your Kasegai crew has arrived! Your mission from Master Ubiyashiki is to comment on the Hashira Half Hour and tell us what you'd like to see!
UFO table, you may consider that Bryan's audition.
We need to talk to the dub voice acting committee now. Get us in touch, please. Please.
I do not know where that came from.
That was so good!
Well, I think with that being said, that wraps up for today. Please don't forget to visit us on YouTube if you'd like to see my actual facial expressions that went along with that. You can also visit us on TikTok. We're at Hashira Half Hour. And of course, our Twitter is @Hashira Half. Please don't forget, you are loved from the Hashira Half Hour. If you learned anything from today's episode, is that you can find acceptance somewhere. You just got to find the right people out there. And with that, I will say, umai.
Umai!
Umai! That's new.
That's a new thing.